The University of California, Riverside presents Blue, Gold, and Black, the podcast that's dedicated to amplifying Black voices at UCR. I'm Dominique Beale from UCR's Community Engagement and Outreach Unit. In each episode, we'll be talking to UCR students, campus leaders, and community partners to explore the intersection of being Black and being a Highlander at UCR. And I can't wait for you to meet today's guest. Let's get started. Welcome, everybody, to the Blue, Gold, and Black podcast. My name is Dominique Beale, and we're here to amplify Black voices at UCR. Today, we have a special guest, Paige McGee. She works out of the Entomology Department, so we're going to be speaking with her. She's going to tell us a little bit more specifically about what she does and how the Entomology Department and the work that she does with them can help benefit students to be successful. Paige, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing okay. Trying to stay cool, right?
Yeah, it's too hot right now.
Right. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. Paige, if you can, just please really briefly tell us what it is that you do at UCR in the Entomology Department.
Okay. So I am a research administrator at the Entomology Department. Mm-hmm. And what we do, we monitor our professors' funds. Mm-hmm. So if we do a little accounting as well as we assist them with submitting proposals and any post-award activities. That's mainly like a little general synopsis of what we do.
No, yeah, definitely. So tell us, before we kind of dive into what it is that you do at UCR more specifically and kind of unpack that, just kind of please tell us, where you're from and kind of talk to us a little bit about some of your childhood experiences.
Well, I grew up, born and raised, well, not born, but grew up in Ontario, California.
Okay.
And I actually went to UCR in my undergrad.
Nice.
And now I work here, Childhood experiences as far as what?
so just kind of, just to kind of give us a little bit of a better idea of kind of who you are and some of the influences throughout your life that kind of shaped who you are today. So what was it like growing up? What was it like, going to school? What was your home life like? Things like that.
Got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a single parent household. Mm-hmm. My mom, she had multiple sclerosis, so my grandma actually stepped in to help raise us, me and my brother. They made sure that we didn't feel a difference. Like if they were struggling with money or just, they tried to fulfill the father duties as well. My mom did the best she could. Mm-hmm. I appreciate it.
Right.
I did grow up in a predominantly Hispanic area. So most of my friends were Hispanic or Latino. Didn't really have that many other friends in different, groups. As far as like shaping me to who I am now, I think just watching my mom, like she has really great strength. Like I really admire her. For even raising, two young kids with the illness that she did have. That made me want to strive to be better, especially so I could take care of her, which I do from time to time now. My other influences as far as for going to school is my uncle. He actually planted the seed. Because I was the first generation college student in my family. Like my uncle, he's always pushed us to go. Like he didn't really go himself, but he always made sure that that he made it aware for us that we can strive and to be better going past high school or even anything, that we could do anything for our future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of building off of what you kind of said, you grew up in, a predominantly Hispanic community. A lot of your early friends, were Hispanic and things of that nature. So how would you say you kind of started developing your sense of identity as it stands for you being a Black woman? Like, how did you start coming into that throughout your childhood, or maybe as you got into high school with different experiences?
I think there's been a few experiences that for sure that people have made it known that I am different. Like people, family members, if I go to a party or something, like their family members would already have like an assumption of who I am.
Wow.
Or I'm not. I'm sweet. Like I don't really. I don't have the quote unquote ghetto-ness that society portrays that us Black women have, especially loud or any of things like that. So like, I think people really get taken aback that I'm not a part of the societal norms. Some experiences also that I've noticed that, because I live in a bubble, and there was this one time we were on a trip, and we were going up north, and we all had to use the restroom. And my uncle, he's more on the fairer side, and they let him use the restroom because like he's ambiguous. But when we all had to use it, they said that it was out of order. We couldn't use it. Yeah.
Wow.
And we were just like, my uncle just went inside the bathroom.
Right.
How is it out of order now? That doesn't make any sense, Yeah.
I
think that probably happened like when I was like around 10 or 11. So that was like really one of my first experiences.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, and it's interesting because I think that's a common theme. Like, Black children, they get confronted with something that happens in society, as simple as wanting to go somewhere and use the bathroom. And then instantly after witnessing someone that you're even related to use the bathroom, now all of a sudden you can't. And, that can be a very difficult thing to process as a child. Did you have any conversations with your family about that moment to kind of help you process or navigate what just happened?
No. Like my family, we never really talked about race issues or anything like that.
Right.
Because I've always felt like I've been welcome for like half, for all the time until like things like that happen. I think we started having more talks, like especially what's going on like in the world right now. Because it's like, my family, my aunts and stuff, they have grandkids now, so they're like really realizing that this is, it's like it's already real. Like they knew it was real, but this is the time that we actually should be having talks.
Right.
And it sucks that we have to have them like with our younger generations that these things are happening.
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important though. And I mean, of course it always depends on, I guess, like how you frame the conversation to the young ones about, what society kind of has in store for them in terms of just how people might treat them in certain situations. But it's almost like kind of giving them some type of armor, right? So that way, when they are confronted with that type of situation, it's not as detrimental as it could be if there was no preparation involved beforehand. So, moving on, like when you kind of got older and into high school, obviously, you said your uncle kind of planted that seed early in terms of, pushing you to go to college and to pursue higher education. So tell us a little bit about like how you found yourself at UCR for your college experience.
Let's see. So, my first set of friends, we were, I gravitated more to the Hispanic group because that's all I knew. And it wasn't probably until the summer going into my second year I did like the summer program in Washington.
Oh wow!
And yeah, and like it was really cool. Like it was a nice little diverse group, and that's when I actually got like, and I still talk to this day too. Like my first group of actual like women of color, Black women, to be my friends.
Nice.
Like they didn't judge me, they didn't say anything about me,
right?
Speaking proper or anything like that.
Right.
Like and it wasn't like, and one of the girls, I noticed that she had her natural hair, and I've never really seen anyone growing up with natural hair.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know. I'm telling you.
Wow. But before you continue, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and I think the great thing about our people is right. Like yes, there are the societal stereotypes and stigmas, right? But when you hear the expression that Black people aren't a monolith, right? Like it's very true, right? We all have different experiences. We all grew up in different areas, and to a big part, you're always going to be a victim of your circumstances in one way or another, and it could simply be what community you grew up in, or what school you grew up in, or all of these different experiences. So, I don't think your story is as like uncommon as it may seem. I think there's a lot of our students that can kind of identify with being one of the only, if not the only, Black person in, their class or their friend group or whatever the case may be. So yeah, continue. She had her natural hair, and that was amazing to you. It was so shocking. Yeah.
No, because I always grew up with perms. Never really had to actually manage my own hair.
Right.
So like that actually inspired me, because I was like, man, like,
okay,
her hair is really cute.
Right. That's how it grows out of your head, really?
Yeah.
No.
It was really cute. So that for sure, like, I think probably started my mindset, because like, we're taught that our natural hair it's not right. So like, just seeing her embracing it, like it helped me like go through the phase with like the whole big chop and everything.
Well, talk to us about that, right? Because up until this point, right, you haven't had a lot of Black friends, right? Obviously you grew up in a Black household and a Black family, but your guys' Black experience was a bit different than maybe other people you might have known growing up until this time. So now it sounds really interesting, right? You're a little bit inspired. You have a new set of friends that are kind of maybe teaching you or showing you different things about your own culture that you haven't had a chance to experience. So you're inspired to do the big chop, and you're, I guess, immersing yourself more so in it. So like, talk about that a little bit, and just kind of like how your mind started to change in regards to like how you identify as a Black woman.
No, like the whole hair thing, it was one of the first steps of me learning to love myself.
Yeah.
Because I used to think that, because at the beginning, sorry.
It's all good.
At the beginning, it took me a while to get used to it, because I never really saw myself with my natural hair. And for a second, it made me think that I wasn't beautiful in it. I know, but like when people compliment me, like even my mom, like family members or even my friends, they'd be like, "Oh, I like your hair like that." Like, I shouldn't have to have people tell me that they like something. I actually like it myself.
Sure.
But it did, like, jumpstart the fire to continue to embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, because like these three groups, they were all different. Like there was three girls. One of them, the one who was natural, she was actually from Senegal.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then one girl from Detroit, and the other girl, her family originated from Jamaica. So it's like a really cool.
Right. You guys had the whole diaspora in your friend group right there, right?
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's really cool, just like seeing where, just hearing stories or just seeing how these other three groups of women like operate and everything throughout the day, like just how they live, because it was like a 6-week program and we actually stayed in the same dorm.
Oh,
so
nice. Okay.
It was like I was with them all the time, so I was able to like learn new things and all these others.
Dope. No, I that's really cool. And in a lot of ways, like that was like it sounds like to an extent it probably came at the right time as well, right? Like that experience came for you at the right time, right? To kind of really allow you to, explore this whole new side of your identity that you hadn't had the opportunity to explore before. And that can be a little bit scary at first, right? But when you're surrounded by people who are genuine and you can tell like that they love you and want the best for you, right? It kind of makes stepping into that unfamiliar zone a little easier, right? So building off of your experience in Washington with your new friends and everything. So take us back to where, leading us to how you got to UCR.
How I got to UCR? So originally I wanted to go to UC Santa Barbara.
Okay. Understandable. It's by the beach. It's nice. We get it.
I was like, man, I absolutely loved it. Like, but when I went on a tour, like, I noticed that I was like the only
back to being the only
there.
Right.
But it was a different group this time. It wasn't like Hispanics. It was more the Caucasians, and like I just didn't feel comfortable.
Got you.
If that makes any sense on campus.
It does.
But
it's
like
understandable.
When I did a tour at UCR, and my cousin happened to go there too, so she was able to like show me around more as well, and I was like, man, like that's cool. it's super diverse, like.
Nice.
Like they don't lie about about the news and everything. Like it was really diverse, and that's what attracted me to the campus too. Because I was like, well, this is like a totally different thing. Like you literally see different groups.
Right.
That was the cool thing. Like you have your Asian kids, there's Hispanics, your Native Americans.
Yes.
Like I was floored when I met my first Native American. Like it was just really cool.
Nice.
Just the diversity.
Right.
On being on UCR's campus.
Yeah.
So that's what made me choose to go here for sure, was the diversity first.
Yeah, and I've only been working at UCR for almost 2 years now. But I remember I started working in the student services building. And for students who don't know, next to our student services building is a building called Costo Hall. And Costo Hall houses all of our ethnic and gender resource centers. So you have the African student programs, the Chicano student programs, Native American, Middle Eastern, women's, LGBT, right? The whole thing. And I was blown away. I was blown away by that because my college was very much, heavily, the student population was heavily white, and so there was only, a sprinkle of, Black students throughout my college experience as well. And my college experience, as far as like my institution and the professionals that I worked with to help me succeed, it was great, but they still didn't have that, I guess, that intentional of a resource center where it's like, no, we have pockets and communities where you can go to get resources, to meet new people, to get experience, to get into different opportunities. Or if you simply have never met someone from another community or another culture, you can go to their center and meet these people and be educated and broaden your worldview. And so for me, I think I agree with you. When I first got to UCR, that was definitely like one of the things that really, really stood out to me. Mm-hmm. And so talk to us then. So you're impressed with UCR, you like what you see. So now you're attending UCR, you're enrolled. Talk to us kind of about your college experience at UCR. Were you involved in a lot of clubs? Did you do research? What were some of the things that you were interested while you were in undergrad?
Oh, okay. So in my undergrad, I started off as a chemistry major.
Okay.
And so I was trying to be on the med school track. Mm-hmm. I know, totally different 180 from where I'm at right now. But right. I was a part of the medical scholars program that was originally underneath the biomed program, but which is now the School of Medicine. Also, I was a part of the chemistry club. I was in a Latina sorority called Sigma Pi Alpha. What else? I am.
Very interesting.
I know. Well, I think those are my top three: the chemistry club, medical scholars program, and the sorority. And just. And
so, did UCR do anything to kind of add to the experience that you felt in Washington when you met your really good friends? You got to interact with Black women in a different type of way. Did UCR do anything to kind of further that journey you were going on as far as how you identified with a Black woman?
The girls that I met in Washington, they seemed more well grounded and like open, versus the Black women at UCR at my time, because it's totally different. Like, because I visited African student programs when I was in undergrad for a few times, and like I felt like some of the girls really were like who's this?
Who is this? Right?
Walking in here, I didn't feel as welcome. But like when I went to African student programs a few times, like as a staff member, I'm just like, these kids, they're like talking to each other, like they're more, but I'm just like, why? I didn't have that experience like when I was an undergrad, so I literally just stopped going because I was like, man, like it doesn't make I'm just with my little friends.
and I think the challenge, with that is like it's kind of a funny thing, like, with Black people, when someone new walks in the room, instantly everyone's turning their head like, who this? Who that? Right?
It's like, why can't we just walk around?
But, I think it's just kind of a way of, kind of how we grew up and how we lived. And so we internalize, or maybe we interpret some of those like cultural behaviors, if you want to call it, we can kind of internalize or interpret it a bit differently. And, when we are able to kind of broaden those experiences, or like you said, as a staff member now, your approach is a lot different. You feel like the vibe coming out of the space is a lot different, So I think it's also good that we talk about those types of instances, right? Because again, ASP is not going to be a home for everybody, We want it to be, and it's not necessarily mean that ASP is bad or doing anything wrong, or the students there are not nice. It has nothing to do with that. But, people find space where they find space. They occupy space, where it truly makes them comfortable. But I think it's important that, we're able to kind of just talk and kind of reflect on these things, right? Because I think there's a lot of students, particularly Black students, that can kind of identify with having some of those same feelings or same experiences, right? But I also think it's important to, take those experiences in stride and not let it deter you from, developing a relationship with your own Black identity, but other, Black people in Black spaces as well. So walk us through then, you were in chemistry. Did you finish with your chemistry degree, or what kind of happened with that?
No, I did not. I actually ended up with a history degree.
Okay, chemistry to history. Nice. Got to put on for the humanities.
Yeah. I actually, history. I actually love history, so it wasn't really a bad transition. I've always wanted to because before, as a child, I went to an archaeologist. I don't know where I got that from.
Okay.
So I always had that little inkling for history. So
got you.
It was an okay transition.
Okay.
But what I did notice about the two colleges, versus CNAS versus CAS, is that CAS people, they're more how do you say? They embrace everybody.
Right.
Yeah. Versus CNAS, especially the students, in your classes, it's you have to prove yourself more as a person of color in CNAS versus the humanities, because humanities, it's all subjects of all races, it's everything. But the sciences is
it's rigorous. It kind of is what it is. It's about the numbers. There's no gray area. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Got you.
And so you have to literally work harder to prove your worth over in CNAS versus CHAP, because both are, I feel like everyone always said that CHAP is easier. Now I feel like they're both had their own hardness.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just different. It's just different materials, and it's just kind of different ways of looking at the world, right? As opposed if you're science or mathematical, you have a certain lens, and then humanities, they have a certain lens, but it doesn't necessarily mean that one is quote unquote easier or harder than the other. It kind of just depends on who you are as a person, what your interests are, and what your methods are for getting the job done. So that's dope. So you make the transition to history, and so you graduated with your history degree? Okay, and did you pursue graduate school after obtaining your bachelor's, or did you jump straight into the professional workforce?
I actually jumped right into the workforce, but because I was a student worker in the biomed department, and when I graduated, it was literally. So 2012, 2013 was literally the first year of the School of Medicine. So it absorbed the biomed department naturally. So my supervisor at the time, so she was building out her unit, and so which was cool. I lucked out. So she was training me it was cool because she was training me as a student anyways. I was still doing student work, but she was letting me get a glimpse of what the regular staff people do. Nice. And so when I graduated, she had offered me a limited position, and then when they had the FTE or the money to actually hire a full-time staff person, I applied for the position and I got it.
Okay, nice. So you've been at UCR. You haven't been able to let it go, right? So
I can't.
But that's good. That's good. You have a lot of experience. You have a lot of insight. So, one thing I want to talk to you about is kind of your experience with the Black community as a professional staff member now, and not so much as a student. How do you stay connected with the Black community as a professional staff member? I believe you are part of our Black faculty, staff, and association. program. So kind of tell us about how you found yourself being involved with that.
Yeah, actually, this is my second year being involved.
Nice.
Last summer, it was like last spring, it's random. I was getting my nails done, and there was this Black lady in there. She kept looking at me. She's like, "Where do I know you from?" I was like, "I have no idea who you are, but I don't know." and she was like, "I feel like I've seen you." She's like, "Do you work at UCR?" And I was like, "Oh, wow, small world."
Right. Okay.
And so she's the one who actually told me about the Black Faculty and Staff Association.
Okay, nice.
She was a part of it because I didn't even know this group even existed.
Yeah. Do you want to give a quick shout out to who it was that put you on?
I forgot her name. I see her face. I know. I'm the worst.
It's all good. We're just gonna call her the lady that put you on, right?
Yeah.
Got you involved. So okay. So then go ahead. Keep continuing to walk us through how your experience with BFASA.
Yeah, and so she sent me the email and everything to link up, and so happened that Dennis.
Yes.
I
Shout out to Dennis
too, and I was like, "Dennis, how come you didn't tell me about this?" Because I found out he was a part of it too, and he originally
the president type.
That I knew, yeah,
right.
And he assumed I knew about the group. And I was
Okay.
like, "No, I've never. It's not broadcasted at all,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the unfortunate part because there's probably a bunch of staff who probably don't know about our group,
right?
But how I ended up really getting involved in it because I'm the treasurer right now.
Mm-hmm. Handling all the cash.
Yeah. The soon to be cash, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah. Dennis had told me that there is a position open.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'll do it. So he nominated me.
Got you.
Yeah.
He voluntold you, huh? Like, hey, by the way, since now that you know this exists, we need a treasurer. Go ahead and apply.
Yeah. It's like, I know you'll be really good at it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's how I got my foot in the door.
Okay.
It was different at first, especially going through the first year because, my department at the time, they didn't really understand why we need certain groups or anything like that.
Interesting.
Just like any group on campus, why they want us to work,
right,
and not
yeah,
do all these extracurriculars, but it's for development,
Yeah,
so,
it is 100%.
Yeah, so I feel like the first year it was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was amongst Black faculty and staff, and it's like there's no different levels in there. No one thinks that you're higher or lower.
Right.
It doesn't matter the position.
Right.
And so that's the coolest thing too, because we're all on the equal playing field when we do our meetings or anything like that. We're just a group of people that are trying to serve our purpose and our mission.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the first year for sure, it was a little more hesitance on my side because I still have to fill out the waters on how I'm going to go to the meetings and all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
But this I feel more as I'm getting used to everything, and I feel like I can give more of myself.
Nice.
To our group. So.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really great experience because it's scarce. Our campus is diverse.
Yeah.
And when it comes to students, but staff is different.
Right.
So it's really cool to see a group of our Black colleagues in one room. So
yeah, and not only just to just to be able to connect and be aware of each other, but you actively be engaged on how are we servicing Black students, right? I think that's one of the biggest things about, BFASAs, how can we push the overall experience of the Black community from a student level to a staff level to a faculty level? How can we push that forward? So, being a part of something like that is definitely really great. So this has been great. This has been a lot of fun so far, but I want to kind of, take the tail end of our interview and really kind of dial in on entomology and the entomology department, and as well as, the research opportunities that you help facilitate. So for those of our students that don't know, simply put, entomology is the science around bugs, insects, more so specifically, right? And for a lot of students, I'm pretty sure they're like, bugs? I ain't trying to study about no bugs or nothing. But as you're going to find out, entomology is low-key the plug when it comes to getting into any professional field that has to do with science, from agriculture to medicine to a lot of other things. So, Paige, can you kind of just take what I said and give students a little bit more of a fleshed out response as to what entomology does and like the implications it has across multiple different fields?
Yeah. So, entomology, like you said, it really can open many doors. You don't really have to be an entomologist if you want to be a doctor. Like, you can literally take the platform of what you learn and take it into your medical career, or if you want to do research, because entomology deals with chemistry, physics, all of those things too, embodies all the sciences. Right. The cool thing about entomology, but one of the professors told me what he loves, because he's like, if you think about it, there's bugs everywhere. Like, they're micro, they're macro, and all of these things play into our daily lives. Yes. Whether it's medical or crops, whether the food they eat or water, like anything like that. So, and the entomology department, we work with all these different sciences that people do want to get into. Because we know, biology, everyone wants to be a biologist.
Everyone wants to be a chemist or a physicist or whatever.
You can do the same things in entomology. You guys, all take the same core classes. Right. It's just when you get into upper division, instead of you studying anatomy of a human body, you're studying the anatomy of the insect. And if you think about, we all insects and humans, we still have chemical functions going on and all of those things that impact us. So you shouldn't not take the chance, the opportunity to get into the entomology department, because you can learn a lot. It even takes you around the world, because there's different insects that have to be identified in different countries. You can travel more. If you're a traveler, you get to travel. And I know a lot of my professors that I take, that I fund, not fun, but, take care of, they travel a lot, especially during the summer months. That's when most of their research gets done, And,
so it's sorry. I just wanted to say, no, I'm sorry, but I just want to say, because everything that you're saying is super relevant, but also when it comes to, Black students, occupying or utilizing the field of entomology for their benefit, I think it's very important that they understand there's not a lot of Black people in this space, and we need more. And again, even if, and why I get so excited talking about entomology. And again, I'm not a bug guy. You know what I'm saying? I think 70% of the bugs I come in contact with shouldn't even exist. But at the same time, if I was interested in going to medical school, right? The thing about the sciences that students need to understand is, regardless of what specification or which specific major within the sciences you want to focus on, they're all extremely competitive. Not only because of the nature of the academics, but just because they're very popular majors, biology, chemistry, physics, engineering, etc. They're just super popular majors aside from the fact that they're academically competitive. But when you take UCR's entomology department, you have an entomology department that is ranked number 2 in the entire world. Number 2 in the entire world. So if you get into the entomology department, you are genuinely in a world-class institution at that point. And also, for students who are looking to go to medical school or pursue different avenues that involve other sciences like biology, chemistry, and stuff, if you get into the entomology department, guess what classes you're going to be taking? You're going to be taking all of the pre-med classes that you were going to take, whether you were a biology student, a chemistry student, or anything else. But guess what? Not that entomology isn't academically competitive, but as it stands right now, it's more low key. It's more low key, right? So if you can't get into the biology major because it's just numbers and that's how many students are applying, you can still get into entomology and maybe your focus will shift a little bit just for the sake of your degree. But if you're still dedicated and want to go to a certain field or medical or whatever the case may be, it's still the perfect opportunity and the perfect vehicle to get you there.
Yeah. And especially like just piggybacking off what you're saying, like since it is low key, like you don't have to deal with, especially when it's upper division, like the class sizes are smaller, so you get to have that better interaction with your professors. Right. Like, and that's really important in upper division, especially when you're getting closer, because you want to be able to have access to your professor, be able to get access to research. We just we found out last week that we got our endowment for we created an endowment for to help marginalized students to help them financially so they can do research and not have to worry about having to work and do school, because you know, like just like you were saying, like entomology does not have a lot of people of color, like, or even just think about it, any research lab, because like, you know, sometimes we have to take care of ourselves financially. Like we don't have that foundation to not just work, you know? And so like this endowment was created to help give more opportunities to these marginalized students who can get access to research. And it's really cool. I'm really excited that it got you know, fully funded. Like that's amazing. And again, talking to any student that comes from marginalized communities, but you know, particularly our Black and African American student, like these are the type of resources that on the surface level, you might think that has nothing to do with what you want to do. You might think that it's taking you a totally different direction. But if you dig a little bit, right, you go and talk to people like Paige, you can understand like, yo, there's so much opportunity here, right? We have bachelor, master, dual programs coming out of entomology, right? Where you can get your master's degree at a bachelor's price, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just tons of different opportunities. So before we conclude, I do want to spend some time just on the research side of it, because obviously there's tons of research that entomology is involved in across all sorts of sciences. And I know you more so help the professors kind of get their ducks in order in terms of pursuing research, but talk to our students, especially students that are even in undergrad who might be looking for undergrad opportunities. Talk to our students about like the benefits of research and what that can mean for them. You know, if they pursue research in their undergraduate career, what that could mean for them in their future. Why is research so valuable? You know, like without research, we wouldn't have these technologies that we're talking on right now. We wouldn't have the advanced medicines. We wouldn't have even the pesticides or anything that help kill off the insects that eat our crops. Research is very important because it literally drives our future. It helps us understand the biology and the world around us. Improves the human condition, right? Literally. And, you know, in entomology, we have some one of our professors, he's in it's veterinary medicine with insects. Like, how do
Wow.
you get veterinary? Yeah. But we also have people that work with our honeybees because, like for a second, the bees were missing. They're dying
Save the
off.
bees. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's like people don't understand that even something that's like bees, like they're pollinators. So
Right.
if they're not pollinating our plants or our flowers,
Right.
that plant will go extinct or anything like that,
Right.
Like research, it helps you, especially in the sciences, since people, if you guys do want to be in the sciences, research, it helps you understand the material better, and it helps you determine, like, because you might end up liking research, and you might not want to go to med school. And then med school does have programs that you can do research and med school, like, and become a doctor too. And you can get the research aspect. But literally the foundation of sciences is research, which you do in many of the classes. So it's really cool, like, just to get yourself involved in research to help your science career if that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it should also be stated that research, more times than not, equals cash.
Yeah.
Equals money. You know what I'm saying? You can get paid to do research. You can get paid to participate. You could get published. You might be able to work with one of your professors on a research project that they're doing. And next thing you know, you're getting your name signed onto their research, and all of that type of stuff, right, is resume building. Like if you do want to pursue graduate school, or maybe you do want to pursue a specific career, kind of having that type of resume spot, it can be very, very beneficial. So thank you for sharing the insight, to our students about, the importance of research and specifically, how entomology can help them take advantage of a lot of different forms of research and sciences. So this has been a great conversation so far, but we're coming up on the end. So, there's one last question that I want to ask you. It's the same question I ask all of our guests, and it's it's just, I just like to call it Black optimism, right? So, our ancestors and, the people that came before us, they had enough foresight to say, hey, maybe not in my lifetime, but in their lifetime, right? And it's because of that we're able to, be here and have this conversation. So just to keep in the spirit of that, what would you say is one of your most optimistic visions of the future when it comes to the future generations of Black UCR scholars and maybe Black UCR scholars that are now interested in pursuing entomology?
I don't want anyone to give up, especially like during the climate that is happening right now.
Right.
Like this is the time to like make sure that we're working hard and like getting our voices heard, like to create more opportunities for us and for our future.
Right.
No, I'm just really, I'm just really hopeful that more opportunities develop to give us more access to certain types of activities or scholarships or opportunities that the campus does have to offer to our students. No, like I just feel, we're resilient people, so we don't give up. So
right.
even when things are low. So
yeah, and the thing is, again, just like when we talk about like creating change, right, for marginalized communities, for Black students, for African American students, right, it's just like the endowment fund that you guys just got established, right, to help, marginalized students, Black and African American students take advantage of research opportunities that they might not have been aware of. So, it's all of us constantly working towards those types of structural additions to our institution to make sure that, future generations of Black scholars, they have access, right? They have access, they have the know-how, and, we're there to make sure that they feel, supported and respected so that they can be successful. Well, thank you so much. We really, really appreciate you joining us, Paige, on the Blue, Gold, and Black podcast. We were super happy to amplify your voice today. It was a super fun conversation. Students, if you're interested in sciences, don't sleep on entomology.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to reach out for help. Paige, as you can see, she's super friendly. She's super dedicated to your guys' success. So if you have questions revolving around research, even if they might not be entomology specific, reach out to Paige and let her know what you're interested in. And I'm sure she'll be more than willing to direct you to the resources that you need. So Paige, thank you so much for being on the show with us. We hope to have you back again sometime to continue the conversation and, let students know what's popping in the world of entomology.
Of course.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, everybody. We'll catch you guys next time. Thank you for joining us on Blue, Gold, and Black. This program is produced by the Community Engagement and Outreach Unit of Undergraduate Admissions at the University of California, Riverside. Learn more about attending UCR by visiting admissions.ucr.edu, and be sure to check out the description for other useful links and resources. Help support this podcast by liking, subscribing, and sharing. And be sure to check out our podcast videos on YouTube. Catch you guys later.